the comment.
Okay, nice. Okay. All right, what's up, guys? Welcome to another girl chat with your favorite YouTube ladies. Miss Evelyn, I have here with me like I usually do. And we're here to, do what we usually do, chit chat, girl talk. Today's topic is um, love and dating, amongst other things.
Mhm.
We'll get to it. But So to introduce Evelyn to you, she is entrepreneur, business strategist, chef, business owner, friend, YouTuber, speaker. She is all the things, and she is here with us, and we're about to have this chat. If you're not subscribed to our channels, you should be. So go ahead and do that. I will drop the link to her channel in the description. But if you're not subscribed already, at Evelyn Inc. and then at Chef Evelyn, go ahead and subscribe to both of them on Instagram and on YouTube. So if you were with us last week, we had a chit chat on Evelyn's channel about value, knowing
Mhm.
your sense of value, knowing your sense of worth. What's up, Brittany? Welcome.
Hey, Brittany.
And so we're going to continue that conversation today and address a few other things. For those of you guys who came out to the premiere of the video that I posted yesterday about the talking stage and you had questions, this will be a great time to ask those questions too. So, of course, we go chit chat, but I want you guys to feel free to ask questions and things like that. I know that you know, some people need a safe space separate from maybe people that they are close to in their real life or just have questions to ask maybe someone that may come from a different background or a different age group than you. So that's what we're here for. Girl talk. Girl talk. So the first thing I want to discuss, the first thing I want to just ask your questions straight out, whatever questions you have, and we'll answer them.
Mhm.
So the first thing I want to address was a question that was left on yesterday's live, and also a question that was asked by Jam Sharice a little while ago on my channel, and it's this thought of being ready prior to dating, being ready, being healed, being whole. I'm using all these almost synonymously, but just that concept of being ready prior to walking into a relationship. And how much? Oh, we just coming in, Caribbean girls.
Getting
You right
started.
on time, girl. Right on time. So yeah, so that's the thought that we're gonna ride on today because I think this is a huge thing in the single community. I think it's a huge thing in the single Christian community. I think it's a huge thing in the single Black community as well. This idea of being ready. What does that look like? When are you ready to go into a dating relationship? I see you, Brittany. We're going to get to that in a minute. Okay. All right. So, Evelyn, what do you have to say? Do you feel like there is a place called ready? And what does that look like? What do you feel like people should do prior to what is it?
Okay, so do you want me to go first? I have so many thoughts about this.
Go ahead. I want to hear all of it.
And I have so many probably unpopular opinions about this topic.
Mhm.
So let me just say this. I think that, you've heard me say this, I feel that ready is a mythical place. um, based on what I would say the masses are calling ready. It's a lot of external things. Is your credit straight? Is your this? Is it that? And it's like people were getting married before there was a trans union or an Equifax, right? So I think sometimes we have put all these materialistic, nothing having to do with what really makes a marriage work things as requirements. And I think the danger of that is that then people are in a perpetual spiral of preparing, right? So you see all of these preparing for your husband, preparing for your spouse, preparing for marriage, preparing for this. And while I do think that while I do believe in continuous personal growth and development, I'm a little leery about the preparation piece. Now, I'm going to get to why that is, but let me talk about this whole piece, this wholeness. Should you be whole?
Mhm.
Who I believe, and you guys have heard me mention I have a good friend who's a marriage and family therapist. If you're seeking wholeness, girl, you about to be on that journey for a lifetime, because I think people think wholeness is a destination
Mm.
or healing is a destination, and once you get healed, then you're ready. Here's the challenge with that. I won't call it a problem. Here's the challenge with that is that we're always going to discover things, and more things we're going to experience that may cause pain, that may require healing. So again, it puts you on this perpetual hamster wheel of, well, I'm healing, I'm working on myself, I'm healing, I'm working on myself. And that is not a bad thing, but I also don't believe that that is a 100% by itself a prerequisite for marriage. Now, this is coming from a single woman, okay? I have a good friend who's a marriage and family therapist, and one of the things she talks about is that some of your issues will not manifest themselves until you are in a committed covenant relationship. Not even just in a dating relationship. Some stuff will come up in a dating relationship until you are married and up close and on somebody. There's stuff that you didn't even know, or that you thought you had worked on, or that you thought you had healed, or that you thought you came overcame. That girl gonna pop up and be like, girl, I'm back. Okay. And so my thoughts is that if we keep spewing this rhetoric about preparing and getting ready, it's kind of like people talking about they got to work out before they go to the gym. I think it's like telling people they got to get their right life right before they come back to the church. Marriage, very similar to faith, is about like progressive sanctification. I think people misunderstand that part of the design, the original design of marriage, is to work some of that stuff out in the union called marriage, not for you to go and try to figure it out on your own for 15 years and be like, okay, once I get in it, there's no work to do. So I'm trying to condense my thoughts. So to answer your question, um, I think ready is a mythical place. I think it's healthy to always be working on yourself, married or otherwise, right? I think it's in your best interest to enjoy your life, married or otherwise, right? I do think I do think that people have good intentions when they're talking about being prepared for marriage, because I think what they're trying to say is, here's all the reasons why people get divorced. They argue over finances, or they argue over this, or they argue over that. And so what that has turned into is, we don't really want y'all to get a divorce, so let's make sure you fix all of this up front. When I think you're attacking the wrong issue. I think the issue is this mindset that marriage is disposable. And if you attack that, and people have this mindset that marriage isn't disposable, then it's like, okay, well, we got to work through whatever comes up, right? So, I know I sound all over the place. I'm pretty sure I have more thoughts, but I didn't mean to jump like ocean floor from the beginning. But here we are. Okay, so all right, your take, Patricia.
I agree with you. There's anything I would say, it would just be adding to that. First of all, I don't like the word ready. I don't like the word ready. I think the word that I'm more comfortable with is prepared.
Mhm.
Um, but even that, I sort of have issues with. You know, when you think about, no one's really ready for their them to get a flat tire on the road, but you can be prepared in that you have, roadside assistance, or you know how to change, your tire or whatever. And so you can be prepared, but this idea of ready, like you said, being a mythical place, I feel like that's real, in that you know, no one really is ever ready. You ever heard someone say, you're never really ready to be a parent. You're never really ready. You can be prepared financially. You can be prepared this way or that way. But at the end of the day, you're never really ready. And like you said, like this sort of avoidance, it's like the teaching of avoidance, right? Like, you know, most marriages end because of money. So if we fix the money issue, then we won't have a problem in marriage. And really, it's not just the money itself, it's the relationship to the money and then how we communicate through the money. And so that's what the issue is. And so if you take out the fact that we still got a communication issue and we still got a relationship with money issue, right? And those are the tools that we're not giving people, right? We're teaching credit, fix your credit score, get yourself a good job, get yourself a good education, whatever. And none of that is harmful. But I think that this idea that all of those have to be achieved prior to walking into the situation, I think is just it's just not true. It's not true. And I like what you talked about progressive sanctification, or just sanctification in general. Isn't It's a process. It's a process. And so this idea of I need to arrive first is not real. Now, I do feel like there's a level of self awareness and self worth and self value that needs to be attained prior to. I really do. I really do. Um, so, yes, but even so, um, I wouldn't consider that concrete. Rather, just a bonus. You'll just your heart will hurt less during this process of dating if you really understand your self worth and your value. So that's what I think about it. Let's see. So Brittany wants us to touch on bullying, a marriage thing. The idea of marriage can be very scary for some, and that there may be this fear that I don't want to do this the wrong way, right? Because I think a lot of us either haven't seen it done before, or may not have seen it done in the right way before, at least from an intimate view. And so a lot of what we know and understand about it is what other people say or what we see from a distance, what we read, what we see in the media. And I feel like sometimes it creates this fear of I don't want to do something wrong. You know what I mean? So let me get myself all the way together, snatch all of my edges, get all of my dollars together before I walk into a situation that's so life changing, that so literally changes the direction of your life in some ways, or can anyway. If I make the wrong decisions, and a lot of these changes are lasting effects, I don't want to make the wrong decision. And so we may delay because of this fear, and may really subscribe to this idea of ready because it sort of fits the narrative that we want, and it's sort of a protection. If I got all this, I got every single outfit I could possibly need for this trip, whether it rains or and then I'm gonna be ready. But in the meantime, I'm carrying this big old load. Class C, especially our Black children, so we need to prepare them for that. So let's move on to this next question from Classy T, because we've got quite a few
questions.
Yes. So Classy T, did you already talk about how long the talking stage should last? We're gonna talk about that one, along with the process of keeping information to yourself. I'm assuming you mean, Classy T, keeping information to yourself about the dating process or during the dating process. Clarify that for me while we answer the first question. So Evelyn, I uploaded a video yesterday about the talking stage, right? And I didn't exactly speak on a specific period of time in the video. If you guys read the comment section, I did answer that question, and I did mention that we would come and talk about that more today. Sorry, I forgot to tell you that little piece in the before.
In the pre-meeting call.
In the pre-meeting call. But so just to define it, how I defined talking was talking starts when both parties have expressed interest in the other. Meaning, I like you, I'm interested in you, I'd like to continue seeing you, and see where this goes, or in the hopes that we'll be together or whatever. That's where talking starts, right? So it's not I have a crush on you and you don't know you're talking to me or whatever. No, it's both parties have expressed this. That's where talking starts. So from talking,
confused about that.
Okay. Okay. And Jam Sharice, we answered your question a little bit earlier. in the live too. But anyway, I just had to say that real quick before I forgot. But so yeah, so from talking, both parties have expressed interest to relationship. For you, how long should that period of time be?
Oh my goodness. Okay. I will say I don't give it a number. I'm not big on hard and fast numbers in dating. I know that some public figures and celebrity like to give like timelines. I think it's all about intention, um, and progress and communication, right? So I think to your point, talking starts when both parties have agreed, hey, there might be something here. We're curious. I think somewhere in the either in the talking phase and prior to the committed phase, there needs to be some kind of dialogue about if we are going to enter into a committed relationship, what are we trying to do? Right? Because I heard somebody describe dating like this, right? Most women, I'm not going to say, well, you know, I don't want to even say most because I don't know most women. A lot of women are dating to get married, right? But for whatever reason, that's a secret. Um, and so they will enter into talking and they will even enter into a committed relationship. And their approach or strategies to dating is like, I'm going to see if maybe we might want to somewhere along the line talk about possibly maybe getting married at some point. Like, girl, that's not a strategy. And so for me, a number, I don't have one. And I know people want like, it should be this. However, I will say this, when you know what you want and you know what you're looking for, it also don't take all day. So, you know, when I hear people say, and if I step on some toes in the chat or on the replay, I'm sorry. Oh, we've been dating for 7 years and we've been engaged for three. Somebody is lying to somebody. Either they lying to themselves or they lying to the other person. Somebody is not in it to win it. Whether it's a fear, whether you just ain't it, whether they just want to waste time, or whether y'all don't have the same destination in mind. So for me, I don't have a hard and fast time. I know that it doesn't take all day. Um, when you are clear about what you want. But if you're just like, I think talking is for the let me see, right? By the time we get to the committed, we should kind of know like, okay, we're ready to take this to the next step. And then that commitment, we kind of know what we're reaching for. It's not a guarantee, but it's like, okay, we know we're working towards something. I don't have a timeline. So I that's the best answer I can give you. I can say though, it don't take all day. So you go ahead and
I
you maybe you have a number.
I agree. I agree that it doesn't take all day. I do have a number though, because what I've realized in situations with just talking to women, that we be making mad excuses, guys. Like, so many excuses for these men. And I feel like a lot of that is because we don't have any defined lines. We love gray because in gray we can say, oh, well, he just coming out of a relationship. So, oh, well, he just got a lot going on right now. Oh, well, you know, he just started a new job. Oh, well, he's really focused on this right now. And with that, we give people time. And I feel like, especially for a man who wants you,
Mhm.
after 3 months, he should be ready to make that next step. That's my
Oh, I
number.
can see that.
90 days, 3 months. If you are an adult, if you are an adult, y'all both have jobs and careers, and you guys live in a similar location and are seeing each other regularly, 3 months is what you need. 3 months, you should be hearing, hey, you my girlfriend or not? Or are we moving this forward or not? Like, I like you or whatever. Let's do what we need to do. You need to hear it. And this is how I answered the young lady's question in my comment section.
Mhm.
But I said, Patricia, you might be tripping a little bit. Why don't you go and ask some men? So I did.
Oh, come on.
So I asked 3 men.
Wait. Before you answer that, let me just say this.
Uh-huh.
Can I interrupt?
Sure.
When I hear 90 days, I think that's fair.
Mm-hmm.
My experience has been much shorter.
Mm-hmm. I think it's
So
generous.
I would say, I normally don't have a number, but if I was to use your number, 90 days or less, right? Like,
Oh yeah, my days is the top.
yes,
Yeah.
like it's been 3-4 weeks, and they're like, listen, okay, I already know. I knew before I approached you, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, go ahead. So you asked some men. I'm
So
curious to
yes,
hear what.
I asked 3 men. One of them I will say is my husband. I asked my brother-in-law, and I asked a friend of mine. And interestingly enough, I got all 3 different numbers, but all of them were 90 days or less.
Mm-hmm.
My brother-in-law said 1 month.
1 month.
1 month.
Because by the time, if you're talking on the phone 3-4 times a week, I should know if you're my kind of person. If I know what I'm looking for,
Mm-hmm.
you don't go window shopping for a potential mate. Go ahead. I'm sorry, I keep
No,
interrupting.
it's okay. It's okay. And they all said, especially my brother-in-law, he was like, I know it seems fast, but when you know, you just know. And that's really it. This excuse, we make excuses, ladies. We really do. Or he don't know. It's a lot to process. We just taking it slow. A man who knows, and when he does, there is nothing you can do to get him from trying to claim and put a title. And the title is very important because I had to explain this to my husband, who was like, after his number was top 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, at 3 months he should be able to to be able to tell you that he is committing to you. And I said, no. It's very important for after 3 months for there to be a title, ladies. I'm gonna be very straightforward about that because a lot of men are shying away from titles, and if they are hesitant to put a title to your relationship, I think you should really you should question how he feels about you. You should
And
really question. Mm-hmm.
to your point, I have been the woman who has been hesitant to put a title.
Mm.
Right. So I've had somebody under 60 days, under 30 days be like, girl, what's the deal? Right. And I have been hesitant. And to your point, it's because I wasn't really that interested. Right.
Mm.
So either side you flip it. Right. And I will say this, the feedback I got from that particular gentleman was that the title is important because the title establishes boundaries.
Yep.
The title establishes standards, codes of conduct, right? That they need to know where the wall is, right? If you don't put a title on it and y'all talk about what that means to you, okay, they need to know where's the fence. And a lot of women go, well, they should know where the fence is. Listen, it's different for every woman. You better put the title on it. Y'all better talk about that. Okay, go ahead.
And I think there's general understandings about that title. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
And the way the ego works is the ego likes to protect your view about yourself, right? And so what it is, and we're not talking about con artists, but most men don't want to be the bad guy. They don't want to be the guy that hurts you. And so if they're not sure about you and they still want to be out there, all right, so I'm gonna kick it with you. I'm not gonna put a title on it though, because I still need my freedom. I'm not your plan C, and I need to go find plan A, see if she's out there, and if she's not, I'll come back to you. But I don't want to let you go. I want to leave you right here. In the meantime, I won't put a title because if something happens while I'm out there, hey, we weren't together anywhere. I didn't cheat. I didn't do anything wrong.
I didn't lie.
I didn't do any of that. And so that's why I told my husband, I said, no, it's very important because the guy will tell you, hey, you're the only person I'm seeing right now. Right? And he's still not a bad guy right now. I said, no, it's got to be more than that, babe. I'm like, for women, that title is really, really important. So ladies, if after 3 months you're not hearing, I mean, seriously, 3 months is long. Seriously, 3 months is long. When I tell you, a high quality man knows way before that. And he will tell you way before that. Like
a lot of high quality men, unless it's a chance meeting, have already scoped you.
Yes.
And have already kind of decided before they even step to you.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost kind of like the job is yours. And that's not the wording I want to use. But it's kind of like if you go on a job interview, but they've already kind of said you got the job, and all you got to do is not mess up the interview.
Mm-hmm.
Like some men know before, depending on how y'all met or how y'all interacted, they kind of already know before they step to you, because sometimes they may not.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If they kind of scoped you and they're like, I don't think so, so that is potential. But let me say this. Let me tell you some of the best advice I've gotten about that. Because a lot of women will ask the question, well, when do you have the defining the relationship conversation, right?
You don't have it. Sorry.
Girl, because I can't even get out my mouth fast enough. I remember my pastor's wife said this. She said, as the woman, if you have to ask,
Mm-hmm.
you're already in trouble.
Yep.
If you have to bring it up, you're already in trouble. If you're confused, you're already in trouble, right? So, and ladies, I'm pretty sure I explained it. You know when you've been with the man, and you know beyond a shadow of a doubt where you stand with him.
Mm-hmm.
And then you may have dated here or there that guy where you're like, I'm not really sure. No, you're sure. That doubt is your answer. That confusion is your answer. And so when people say, when should you have the conversation? Should you bring it up? Girl, why should you bring it up? Here's the thing: when people say that, people abuse this phrase, a man who finds a good wife finds a good thing. And like, women shouldn't pursue men. All we're talking about is initiative.
Mm-hmm.
Leadership is initiative.
Mm-hmm.
If he wants you, if he really values you, girl, he's not gonna waste no time, because he don't want nobody else to scoop you up. He gonna be looking at you like, girl, let me get you off the market real quick, because if another brother, I might have to square up. You know what I'm saying? So, because I thought that question might come up, like, well, when do you have the conversation? Girl, when he bring it up. And her follow-up advice was, and you get to decide how long you want to hang around until having the conversation, right? So if it's like, if you've been around for 6-7 months and you don't know, girl, that's on you to decide. And a lot of times I have been guilty in the past. We put off on the man. Well, I mean, he needs to say something. No, you need to make a decision. Okay, go ahead.
Right. And part of that decision is, I'm not hanging around longer than 3 months. And after 3 months, it's not about, I'm about to sit down and have a conversation, he to choose. No. After 3 months, the decision has been made, and you start pulling back, not answering phone calls, no, this is, okay, I'm going to put this aside and, count it as a loss. And another thing I talked about in that video, and we're going to get to Jam Sharice in the second part of Classy T's question, is, you can't, the talking stage is not a relationship. The talking stage is not a relationship. The talking stage is not a relationship. There's no commitment in the talking stage. I know as women sometimes, you're in this and you think it looks really good. You can see it happening, and in your head already, you see yourself in the dress, him in the tux, and ooh, it's there, the flower girls. It's already in your mind. Girl, do not throw all your eggs in one basket. Okay, just don't do it. Any age, don't do it. But especially once you hit 30, there is no time. There is no time to waste. You cannot give away a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years of your life. I was talking to my one of the three people yesterday about one of the three men about this, and he said, a friend of mine, a girlfriend of mine, is going through this situation for 2 years. With this dude, talking with this dude.
Y'all not talking?
And
what? I don't know what y'all doing, but y'all ain't talking.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, that's wasted. She's in her 30s. Wasted time. Wasted time. Dedicated to one person. Don't throw all your eggs in one basket. Okay, so Classy T says she met during the relationship, staying mysterious. So earlier she said keeping information to yourself, staying mysterious. Do you have any idea? Because that's one thing that I've talked about in the last 2 Singles Club videos, this idea of mystery, being slow to release information. Mm-hmm.
I think you just said it's a slow release that never ends.
Mm-hmm.
So I think women have this idea that at some point I can just take the belt buckle off and let it loose and everything's on the table. And this is not about not being open and honest and transparent, but I think what women forget is men don't stop being hunters when they get married.
Mm-hmm.
Girl, you're always going to have to be unfolding new parts of yourself to that man. But I used to be confused, like, what do you mean? What does that mean? Like, people would say that, like, even being married, you have to keep a little bit of measure, you have to keep him intrigued. Here's the thing, if you're constantly growing and changing and evolving as a woman, there will always be new parts of you for him to learn, right? So, again, Patricia probably has a number because she did a dating series. She does a dating series. I do not, okay? But I think the question suggests, but this may not be your 10, like, how long? And in my mind, it's, girl, there's all you will always be sharing a little more and a little more and a little more right now. I mean, I think there's a difference between being mysterious and playing hard to get and being impossible. But I think one of the things that I had to learn is, girl, even when you are married for 30 years, he got to stay interested. You have to stay interesting, um, for yourself and for the marriage, because he wants to continuously, it's like an onion, the layers, like peel back, peel back. Something new, something new. I have a friend, her and her husband, I think have been married for 7 or 8 years. And he still be like, man, I be finding something new about my wife every day, like every day. And they were friends before they were married. They got 4 kids. They've been married 7, 8 years. And he loves it though, right? Like he's like, I'm always learning her. And so once I realized, oh, this is a marathon, not a sprint, I kind of, for me, not that I'm an expert, I let go of the notion of there was a time frame to be mysterious. That, I mean, there were certain levels, in relationships where definitely the transparency increased. And it wasn't about being secretive, but it was also not about like pouring out a gallon's worth of information every time we had a conversation. So,
Mm. Yep.
Tricia, your
No,
thoughts? You may disagree.
no, I completely agree. There is no this is a lifelong process. And one thing that you said that I think is so important is that it kind of happens anyway. As you change and evolve, there always will be something to learn. But to make sure that we can sort of quantify it, like what does that actually look like? What does that actually mean? Uh, he shouldn't know your life story early in the game. Like, there's really no reason for him to know about your worst breakup early in the game. There's no reason why he should know your relationship with your father so early in the game. He shouldn't know your schedule. You shouldn't tell him your schedule early in the game. So this is like sort of things that I mean. Like, I remember we had this conversation like 2 days ago with my husband. We have deep conversations all the time. So if I refer to conversations, it's literally because we have them like this. And he was talking about when we were talking, and he was like, I would be texting you, and then around like 5 o'clock, you would just stop. And then about 9:30, you'd pick up and just start responding from the last one. And he was like, I already knew that you were out on a date. Like, at that time. Like, I already knew. But I wasn't about, oh, well, I'm seeing other people right now. So just to let you know, I went out on another date. No, that's not something. I mean, I told him, like, just let you know there's no exclusivity. I only got to tell you that one time. Right? And then after that, you can make your assumptions, but I don't have to tell you what I do from morning to night. You don't need to know my schedule. You don't know, like, he should be able to be like, I wonder what she's doing right now.
Mystery. I wonder what she's doing.
I wonder what she's doing right now. And that's what I mean, the element of mystery about you, where he literally has to go out of his way to see about you, to understand you, to know what your day is like, to know what you're about, to know your likes, to know your dislikes. Don't make that easy for him to sort of just get. Listen more than you speak.
I was just about to say that. Like, it gets easier if you just listen and ask questions.
Mm-hmm.
Not like a drilling, but if you're genuinely curious about him to see if he is qualified to be with you, you're doing more listening. I think when we do more talking is because we're trying to do more proving.
Mm-hmm.
He's the proven. Why should I'm the favor. Tell me why I should give you access to my time.
Yup.
Listening.
Yup.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
That's what that looks like, that element of mystery, especially in the talking and early dating stage, obviously when you get married and you get roll into the deep depths of dating, of course he's gonna know what your schedule is like. He's gonna know all of those things. But there's even an element of mystery, even in like marriage, like someone said, "Oh man, I like to talk."
Listen, how you gonna get information if you don't listen and ask questions?
If you don't listen and ask questions.
Because can I say this? I have been guilty of this. If you don't listen and ask questions, you will take the few little responses that he's giving you and you will create a character of a man that is not the man that's sitting in front of you,
Mhm.
and then be confused later on when you're like, how come I didn't see this girl? Because you didn't shut up long enough to listen.
Mhm.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, and that is so. It's so. Literally, we after it wasn't until after we got into a relationship where my husband was just like, I feel like there's still so much I don't know, like, because my husband likes to talk, and I like to listen more than talk anyway, just naturally. So it worked for us, but it wasn't until when we were in a relationship, he was just like, there's still so much that I just don't feel like I know. But so then that's when he started asking questions, just to get a better understanding of me and observing me and getting a better understanding of me. But yeah, don't make it all. Listen, like she said, you're the prize, you're the gift, right? And so you trying to figure out and see if he gonna work for you. And I talked about that in the talking video. Hey, Rashida.
Hey, Rashida. Hey, rich friend.
In the talking video, just like this is an interview for him as well. It's not just, oh, I need to prove to you that I'm the woman for you. I'm the woman of your dreams. Like, I'm going to make everything in your life right. I'm going to do all of these things for you. This is also flipped, right? When you go to an interview, it's not just that, oh, I'm the best employee for you, but also I got to, does this job fit my career goals? Does this job fit where I want to go? Will this job pay me what I want to be paid? And so it goes both ways, ladies. It's just not one sided. Okay, so let's get to Jam Cerese's question.
Okay,
Um,
we've been spending a lot of time on.
yes, yes. We answered your question.
Wait, there's Caribbean Curls before her though.
Okay, let's see.
Do you see it? Right under Classy T. You want me to read it?
I have a question. I feel like a friend of mine only contacts me to keep tabs on me. Like, it rarely seems genuine when she rings. We study together, and even then, it always seems like a competition. She was insistent on knowing my grades and every extracurricular I did. She did too. I don't know if there was underlying jealousy. I just never had a good intuition about it, and she wanted to live with me wanted to live with me too, but it just didn't sit with me. Sorry for the long-winded question, but I really felt compelled to keep in contact as we happen to be in the same circumstance. IG school, family, and yeah, they know each other. So let me say this. I have a similar situation, or had a similar situation as well, and um, and Evelyn, you may have a better response to this because this is actually a really good question that I don't know what the right answer is, but I can just tell you what I did. And that I had this young woman in my life that older than me actually, older than me, had a whole family, whole kids and everything like that. We're in the similar career. I met her on a travel assignment and it's we were friendly on the job, but then after we left the job, it literally became like just check-ins on, hey, where do you work now? Hey, so where do you live now? And this was like that was our question. That was our conversation. Um, just over and over and over again, and I never felt the questions to be harmful. So I always answered, and then she ghosted, and that was it. I never knew what the intention was. And I said, regardless of the intention or not, the fact that I have to question it and it's not made clear, I just don't have room for that in my life. So I just stopped responding. And that's really how I handled the situation because it wasn't one of those situations where, hey, I'm trying to level up in my career and I just want to know what are you doing and what you did and stuff like that. It was not that energy at all. It was just this, I just want to know because I want to know. And I had issue with that. I had issue with that, and it's just so I just stopped responding. But I don't know where the motivation was. That was it envy? Was it jealousy? I look up to you. I just want to know what you're doing. There's something about you that I admire. I don't know. All of it I wasn't comfortable with, so I just stopped responding, and that's how I handle the situation.
Hmm. Hmm. I have an interesting take on that because I don't know the details. I'm just relying on my spidey sense here. I think it could be a couple of things. I don't think it's jealousy or envy. From either situations, it's to me. If I had to guess, I would view it one or two ways. Either one, you have a woman who's trying to connect and who does not know how to do it well,
Mm.
and so, um, and she, and so she's asking questions, and because you're answering but like it's not giving her nothing to go on, she doesn't know how to move the dialogue forward. Like she could either possibly want to genuinely be your friend, is just mad awkward, and it comes off weird, or what I've seen is that she's looking for something in her own life and then she's trying to get it by attaching to you,
Mm.
right? Which probably has nothing to do with you in particular, but you may represent some things that she wants in her life. And the energy may not be envy, but it may be this really like needy, um, I'm trying to follow your model, not like what you said, Patricia, where it's like, hey, I want some advice. That's a woman seeking advice kind of has her own mind. She just wants to check the pulse. It's almost like if I do what you do, I can have what you have, right? Or if I go where you go, I can be where you are. Or it's this really unhealthy thing. So either one, the energy is off. And like Patricia said, girl, you don't have to respond. Um, Now, with this being a family, like y'all know each other, same school, like you can keep it cordial, right? But you don't have to, like, no, you can't move in with me. Excuse me, girl. I had best friends that we knew each other well enough that we were like, girl, we love each other too much. We're not gonna move in together because we know. So, I mean, that's a little bit much. And here's the thing: if you don't feel comfortable sharing, right? This goes back to the dating thing. Girl, don't share what you don't want to share. I've had people, hey girl, hey, what about this? Hey, what's going on? You need something?
Mm.
You flip the question back. So I mean, but I also have the great skill of being deflective and non-committal. So I mean, if listen, I think we ignore our intuition too much, and it's a beautiful gift that God has given women. And if the intuition is off, girl, the intuition is off. And sometimes you don't even need to know why it's off.
Yep.
I think sometimes we're like, I don't want to know why. If it's off, it's off,
Oh.
right? Um, it's kind of like if you smell gas in your house, okay, like I I need to get away from the gas. I don't need to know. I wonder what happened. Girl, somebody else can figure that out. No. So yeah, I'm hyped today for whatever reason. If the energy is off, girl, trust your intuition, also known as discernment, and be like, I had a lady who really wanted to be my friend. I think I told this on another live stream, and she was sweet, right? But I remember telling her like, hey, and she would always be like, where are you at? I'm waiting on you. I saved a seat for you. This, that, and whatever. And I finally was like, hey, I think you're a really cool person, and I can tell you're trying to be my friend, but I can already tell you that I'm a hurt your feelings as a friend because what you're needing, I'm not going to be able to give to you. And you know what this woman admitted to me? She told me, she said, "Oh, I'm super needy." She was like, my brother had some challenges growing up, and so my parents gave him all the attention. This woman was grown with children, divorced. We were about the same age, right? She was like, and I'm super needy in friendships. And I was like, yeah, I'm the friend that like don't put me on as your emergency contact because you won't get me on the phone. And so I was like, so the fact that I know you're needy and the fact that you know you're needy, we're not gonna mesh up. Like we're cool, so we're cordial. But I had to kind of, back her back. So you can do the same thing. Like we're cool. Like, hey, how you doing? But we're not about to be moving in or talking on the phone. So okay, that's all I got.
Agreed. Agreed.
Mhm.
Let's see. Let's see. So Jam Cherie said, which by the way, I actually met her in person in California
Yes.
when I was living there. How do I go about bringing up things I'm not happy with? How I'm treated slash lack of communication to my boss without seeming angry. I want to be professional, but I'm fed up. What do you think, Evelyn?
Jam Cherise, I want you to know as I get ready to respond to you, I love you and I respect you. Usually, and I'm speaking from personal experience, I'm speaking from my clients, if you've gotten to the point where you're fed up, you probably don't have some boundaries set in place. Um, and so now you're at the point where you're just totally ticked the heck off. And the people around you is probably unbeknownst to them, because whenever the first or second or third thing happened, you didn't nip it in the bud, you didn't communicate it. So here's the thing: to answer your question, how do I go up about bringing up the things that I'm unhappy with, how you're treated, lack of communication? I would say first you need to get really clear in yourself about what's happening and what it is that you don't like specifically, because sometimes it's a feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, I would evaluate, are there people in the workplace that are coming to you telling you these things? Are you experiencing it directly? Do you think you're experiencing these things, but you may not be experiencing these things? All three can be true at the same time. Okay. And then I would say, are you in situations where you can set some boundaries with the people who are communicating with you, or what did you say, or not treating you well, and hold them accountable? Because a good boss, a good leader, is probably going to ask you, did you address it with the person first? Some bosses don't, but a good leaders are going to ask you, particularly like if it's a peer, have you had a conversation about it, like, and you couldn't resolve it, and did you bring it to that person? It's not the funnest thing to do in the world, but it will really exercise um, your boundary setting and holding people accountable. Because I can tell you from my own experience is that when I had people that weren't communicating with me well, I never said, "Hey, I really need this information. Here's why, whatever. This is what I expect." Blah blah blah. I just had to have that conversation. If people weren't treating me well, it's because I never cut it short in the moment, right? I let it go too far. And I'll give a perfect example. Perfect non-work example. Y'all know I'll be having the analogies. I remember dating a guy, and I think I said this in a live stream, and I said like a mama joke or something like that. This man got so serious on me and was like, "Hey, like I love joking with you. I don't do mama jokes." And I was like, "Oh, okay." Never got a mama joke out of me again, right? He nipped it so quick and set that boundary so that he didn't give me the opportunity to mistreat him in that way, if that makes sense, right? So um setting boundaries. But then if you've tried that, then I would just go to your boss and be like, "Hey, I need your support.
Mm.
I need your support. You cannot go in there whining." And it depends, the way you want to approach it varies depending on if your boss is a man or if it's a woman. Not not in what you need, but the way you are going to have to communicate it with. But I would say, "Hey, I need your support. I'm really trying to fill in the blank, complete my work on time, finish this project or whatever, and I really, really need this information. Can you help me get this information in a more expedited fashion? Because I'm really concerned about hitting the deadline." You see how you didn't make it about the person, they ain't giving me the information, you made it about work. A lot of people, I'm long winded. I'm assuming you're in corporate. And what I can tell you about corporate is, right or wrong, if it's not about the business, sometimes it's hard to push, right? So if you can tie in the lack of communication to like, "Hey, I need this for my job performance," you'll get the support. The lack of treatment is hard to prove. It's hard to prove. But if you can say, "Hey, you know what? I'm having some difficulty, connecting. I'm having some difficulty, seeing eye to eye. Can you give me some tips?" If you go in and go, "You need to go fix the other person," it does not go, or even if that's what needs to happen, it does not go over. But if you go in and you're like, "Hey, I'm really having a challenge, um, you know, finding common ground with the situation. Can you give me some support on how I can move forward?" The person on the other end is smart enough to know what you're saying, that Sally over here is driving your last nerve, but you do it in a way that's professional.
So
And you go, "I need some support." Go ahead.
put a quick pin. She said her boss is the issue, but I definitely hear. So we're talking about the boss.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You I set boundaries with your boss then. Is your boss a man or a woman? That's that. But Patricia, you can respond while she answers that, because I want to know if her boss is a man or a woman.
Right, right. So no, I agree with the boundaries. No matter who the relationship is with your coworkers or with your boss,
Mm-hmm.
You should be setting those boundaries in terms of how they treat you. You know, I've said this before. You teach people how to treat you, and there's certain way they cannot treat you. I agree. Since we now know that the boss is the person, like Evelyn said, to have a sit down with him. Okay, great. So have a sit down with him. Um,
It's a he.
yes, in my
Okay, I haven't seen it yet.
opinion, for you to say, and listen, this is my opinion. Evelyn about to give you hers, but it's in corporate. You need to make sure that you are clear, that you the situation is far from what do I want to say, not emotional for you,
Mm-hmm.
and make sure there's a paper trail. So this is what I would
Girl.
say to you. I like words like support. I like words like buy-in. I like words like that because those words, they're collaborative
Mm-hmm.
rather than accusatory, right?
Mm-hmm.
Realizing that the effort needs to be made from both parties
Mm-hmm.
in order for this work relationship to work.
Mm-hmm.
So saying things like, hey, I feel sometimes out of the loop with what's going on, and I feel like that makes I have trouble doing my job to the best of my ability when I'm out of the loop on certain things. And I
Mm-hmm.
want to be able to know what's going on so I can do my job the best and I can contribute to this team. And then ask clearly define what you want. And I want to be included on the email chain, or I want to be in on this particular meeting. I think my input could be very valuable on this team, so that this project can move forward. Be very clear about what you want. If this is a decent boss, they're not going to give you a hard time about this conversation. Now,
Right.
what happens afterward is what you'll have to measure, right? And so you have this conversation, and honestly, because he's a man, he's going to be like, okay, she's made a request of me. I'd like to grant, usually, man, I'd like to grant her this request, especially if you're not accusatory, you're not tapping on his ego. I hate to say that, but you're not tapping on his ego. You're making a request, using your femininity to make a request of him. He really should grant it, honestly. Anyway, he really should grant it. After the conversation, send an email. Hey, Mr. Boss, so and so, thank you so much for taking the time to listen to me about lack of communication and this and that. And thank you for committing to work with me on this issue. There's your paper trail. You know what I
Yep.
mean? And at the end of the day, if it doesn't work out, girl, listen, start applying, start looking, start
Yep.
interviewing. It's okay. And if you have to, if it don't work out, and sometimes it don't, then you put yourself in a position where you can move on. What do you think, Evelyn?
No, I think you're absolutely right, and I would say the only thing I would add is to make it a question. And the reason why I say make it a question, make your request a question, is because men like to feel like they have options. I know some women don't want to tailor their communication style based on gender, but it's kind of like if I'm in France and I want the person to understand, I'm gonna speak French, right? So it's, like Patricia said, is you need to know specifically what do you want. You can't just say I feel like there's a lack of communication. You have to say, like Patricia said, hey, you know what, I need your support on something. I would really love to be, dialed into the moment to moment XYZ of blah, blah, blah project. What I need from you. And let me tell you why need is a good word for men, because regardless of the nature of relationship, they like to fulfill needs, right? I need your support. I would really like to, like Patricia, to be included in this meeting, whatever. What needs to happen, or what can we do to make sure that that happens?
Mm-hmm.
Because now what you're doing is you're asking him to solve a problem, and men are amazing problem solvers. You're telling him, here's my question, this is what I want to be this in the meeting, get this kind of communication or this kind of timely. The way you put it in man language is, What do you think needs to happen, or how can we ensure that that happens?
Mhm.
Now, even though you may not like it, he gets to feel like the hero.
Mhm.
I'm about to solve her problem. Okay, let me give you an example. I have a client, and she has two male bosses, right? And she was like, I need support. I've been telling them for months I need support. I'm exhausted. I'm this, is that, 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 right? And I said, so when you talked to them, what did you say? I told them that I was exhausted, I was fed up, and I told them back then they need to replace this person. And I said, so what was the request? And she was like, I didn't really make one. I was like, okay, go back and make a request. What do you want them to do? So she went back and said they need to hire somebody for this role. So this is what they did. They went and tried to find somebody internally to fulfill the role, right? The person wasn't a good fit. It fell through. Then they tried to bring somebody from another location, right? To fulfill the role. The person wasn't a good fit. And she was still frustrated. She was like, I told them I needed somebody for this role. And I said, here's the thing, pause. If you look at what they're doing, they're trying to solve your problem,
Mhm.
right? It now, this is where women, we have to learn to either assist or give people room. They were trying to solve it, even though she knew from day one you needed to go get somebody external. I said, here's the thing, the issue is not that they're not trying to help you. They are. Once you made the request, they got on it, right? So then you can go back and say, hey, you know what? Thank you guys so much. I see that you're really trying to fill this role. Unfortunately, two people um, fell through. What would you think? Here we go with the question about hiring somebody from the outside that we can train. I know, listen, and this is my whole thing. You can either say it how you want to say, or you can get what you want to get, right?
Okay.
I prefer to get what I want to get. Okay, so I gave that long, elaborate, once again, example, because Evelyn is long winded, but y'all should know this by now. To say, you can go to him and say, I really need your support. Already his chest gonna puff out. I don't care what kind of man this is. I need your support. I need this. Specifics. What needs to happen, or what can we do to ensure that, or to make that happen? What does that, how can, what is that gonna look like? Girl, try it in all your male relationships. You'll just, it'll be, it's like a magic wand.
Girl, when you, and especially the part where you mentioned that they love to problem solve. They
Girl,
really do. If they can solve your problem, girl.
and listen, I think women think that men aren't good problem solvers. They are amazing problem solvers. The difference is they're just not gonna solve it the way you would.
Mm.
But long as it gets solved, do you really care? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No, they are. Men are good problem solvers. I think sometimes, and this may be pivoting into in a different um, situation. You're welcome. A different conversation is that I do believe that some men struggle with decision making and not so much problem solving, and I think it's because of mothers not allowing their sons to make decisions for their own lives, and
And not allowing them to make mistakes.
not allowing them to make mistakes, and so they don't work that muscle out. And then they grown adults and lack direction and
Mhm.
lack decision making skills because they're afraid to make a misstep and
Mhm.
disappoint mom, and because the decisions have been made for them all of their lives, they don't know how to make a decision,
Mhm.
for themselves. So I do feel like some men struggle with that. Any other questions? Did I miss any questions? I don't think.
I know Rashida says, I think she was referring to when we were talking about the girl that wants to be super attached to um Caribbean curls. She says she was talking about you but didn't have the new information about you, so she asked that way she could perpetuate that she's a friend or connected to you and your success.
That's a good point.
Mhm.
That is a really good point.
Oh yeah, I know Patricia. Yeah, she's currently in the blah 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 working with such and such.
Not no more. She don't.
That's all you know.
She don't have any idea, and I'm like, yeah, honestly. And back to the mystery thing. You know, what I feel like there's this whole transparency culture going on right now. I'm just so transparent. I'm just so transparent and so honest and so blunt. Insert eye roll.
Right.
I am mysterious, and that's with everyone. My closest friends will tell you I'm a Pisces, so it's just natural to me anyway. But my closest friends will tell you that I am, some of them call it secretive, some of them call it mysterious, call it whatever. So, for those of you guys who are having issues practicing or exercising that muscle in relationships, start exercising that in your life. And so as far as social media, people just really should not know everything. I mean, I know everybody, and Lord, it's just like this obsession with self and ego and image and all of that. Y'all, make sure the energy is spent on living it for real, than showing that you're living it. And honestly, it is nobody's business. I know social media has sort of created this culture where you feel like it's everybody's business. It's actually not their business. I
Yeah.
feel like people shouldn't know me, be friends with me on social media that I either went to college with at a certain point in time, or I was friends with them at a certain point, and they don't even need to be cool with me because they already know everything. No, I mean, you can know the major things like, oh, she just, maybe I put that I've started at this job or whatever over here, or maybe I put that I changed my relationship to married or whatever. But outside of that, people do not have to know. For as long, as far as everyone knew, I was single before I got engaged. Literally, the people were just like, "What? I don't understand. How do you skip mad steps? Because you didn't have to see all those steps.
It's none of your
None of
business.
your business." And so, just private, I guess, is the
Yes.
glorified word.
Private is right because secrecy hides the existence of something.
Mhm.
Privacy hides the details.
Right.
Be private.
Private, yes.
You know you married. We don't know the details.
Mhm. Mhm.
Now it's one thing if you popped up and be like, "Oh, I've been married for 10 years and I got 2 kids." We'd be like, "That's your prerogative." You know what I'm saying? Okay. And listen, YouTubers have done it. All right. And that's fair because they everything. I say this, and Patricia can attest to this. Everything is not for public consumption.
Mm.
Everything is not for public consumption. I don't care if you got a lifestyle brand. I don't care if your brand is about you and your kids and your husband and your cat. Okay. Even then, you do not have to spill all the beans.
Ooh, we're gonna touch on that one in a minute. I feel like I want to talk about what you just brought up. How do you ladies feel? This is from Caribbean Curls. How do you ladies feel about perhaps other you wish not to know about you viewing on YouTube? Rephrase that for me, Caribbean Curls, so I understand better what you're saying. Did you get the essence of the question?
I didn't, but I wanna respond to this comment by Journey. It says, "Give respect, get respect. Corporate really does have this masculine design of ego power. LOL, no emotions." I'm going to disagree with you about it being about ego and power and no emotions. You can have all the emotions you want in corporate America. You just need to communicate them effectively. I so I mean, here's the thing. There's even a place for anger. You just have to use it strategically. I remember my mom gave me some really, really good advice that a boss of her gave her like back in the 80s. He was like, listen, sometimes you have to use anger strategically. Sometimes you may have to let people think that you're angrier than you are to get your point across, right? Like, so, I mean, it's kind of, and I go back to the Bible. You can be angry, just don't sin on the anger, right? So when it comes to this no emotions, just like, was it Jam Sharice who asked the question, or was it Caribbean Curls who asked the question about job? Oh, like Jam Sharice asked, like, you can be fed up and frustrated. Absolutely, there's a place for that. It's just how you communicate it. You got to decide, what do you want more? Do you want them to feel your emotions that you're feeling, or do you want the result that you want? So nobody's telling you to be emotionless. You just got to decide, what's your end game. If your end game is, I just want you to know that I'm upset, that's fair, but that's all you're going to get.
Mhm.
Right. And so it's not about it being emotionless. It's about, what do you want to do with that? Um, and I think once I got that in corporate America, even though I didn't stay, it got easier for me, because I did believe, like, oh, for a while I thought, oh, it's a man's world and I gotta, go in the bathroom if you gotta cry or whatever. I've had some passionate conversations with bosses in a way, though, where it's like, hey, what you did wasn't okay. And so going forward, this is what I need from you. Right? Like, and so they could see that I was upset. I'm not saying I was in there bawling my eyes out, but they could see that I was upset. And it's okay for people to experience the emotions that they've caused you, right? Part of that is accountability. I have this phrase of, if I'm going to be uncomfortable, we going to be uncomfortable. Okay. So I just wanted to respond to that.
Um,
Um,
One thing I wanted to point out with that is because I brought up the whole idea of emotions, but my point really is you can have emotions without being emotional. And for me, emotional is just about the emotions. But like Evelyn pointed out, it's like, where do we go from here? It's not just about throwing a tantrum. We got to have something behind it. So Caribbean Carols clarified her question, and then we'll get to beautiful message. Caribbean Carol says, "So sorry for my writing. How do you feel about other people you wish not to know about you keeping updated about you on YouTube?"
First of all, oh my God, hold on, ooh, my head. The fact that we both busted out laughing is so wrong. Oh. Um, I I don't know if I want to go first, because I don't know if I've successfully been able to do this.
Mm.
Um, Here's the thing, YouTube. I mean, short of blocking people, and I don't even know if you can block people to not see your content. I've had people, when we were dating, be like, "Girl, I found your YouTube channel and I started watching three." And I'm like, "Yo, don't do that." So I don't. I think this goes back to Patricia's point about privacy.
Mm.
If you don't want people to know certain things, don't put it on the internet. And if they find you, I mean, I don't really know what to say. I don't have a good answer for you. I'm sorry. This is probably one of the first few times I don't have an answer. I was trying to come up with an answer. I don't have an answer for Tricia.
I agree. Obviously, we both started laughing because this is a tough one. It really is.
Yeah.
But I guess let me start here. And this is to refer back to Classy T's question about mystery.
Mm-hmm.
When Joshua and I were talking into dating, he had my YouTube. He knew my YouTube channel. This is the first guy I ever dated that had access to my YouTube channel before like we started dating and got into a relationship. And still I was able to maintain that mystery about me. Mm-hmm. Even with him watching videos. Y'all, those of you guys who remember my vlog channel and have my vlog channel, I mean, he had all the things, okay? And was still able to maintain some mystery. Here's the thing. I don't share anything on YouTube that I'm uncomfortable sharing. Like, it's just I just don't. So
No.
whatever, and honestly, I don't tell y'all everything. Right. Just like I advise you guys not to tell everybody everything and not to put on social media, whatever. I follow those same rules. YouTube or no YouTube, Instagram or no Instagram. I follow those same rules. There are things that I'm comfortable letting you guys know and having conversations with you about, and then there's things that I'm absolutely not comfortable having and that are private and are sacred to me. Now, there are people I know, hey, how are y'all doing out there, that come into the videos who just watch because they want to know, watch because they want to stay updated, because they're nosy or whatever. And I think that comes with the territory.
Mhm.
So I just don't spend much time thinking about it.
Mhm.
I still, like I said, I'm private, but what I give you is honest.
Mhm.
It's true. It's direct. There is no lying. There isn't no facade. There's no anything like that. Yes,
Mhm.
there have been times in the past where I have been honest, understanding that there'd be certain people that will watch and
Mhm.
that would know that they were the person in question or whatever. But we've had that conversation and we've had that understanding. And so I protected their identity and whatever, they can watch it and just feel their type of way. But it just kind of comes with the territory.
Mhm.
And if y'all want to call me up, we can have a conversation about it. We can have a conversation about it. But otherwise, I've never had somebody call me and like, hey, um, I was watching a YouTube channel and I have questions about this, that. I have yet to have that type of issue. Most people just silent watch. I don't even know are watching until I see them in the store one day and they're like, oh, yeah, I'm watching you now. I'm like, I haven't seen you in 10 years. But,
Right.
it's that's so
Yeah,
funny.
our content is curated to be blunt, right? Like Patricia said, it's not a lie, it's authentic.
Hmm.
But listen, y'all, we do these lives, right? And we're giving you guys our in the moment, honest opinion. And even in that, there's just some stuff I'm not going to say on a public platform that people could record or screenshot or whatever, right? And y'all can probably feel the authenticity coming from us. We don't give out names when we tell stories. We don't give locations. We don't give details. We don't even tell you when that happened, right? So if you hear me talk about a guy that I've dated, if you've ever been on my YouTube channel, you haven't seen the man on my channel.
Hmm.
So you don't know when that happened. Girl, it's intentional, right? Part of that is just safety, and I come from a time, and Patricia does too, where when you first got on YouTube, you didn't even want people to know your name,
Yeah.
right? We all had weird channel names, okay? And there was this big discussion in the YouTube community about should you use your actual name,
Hmm.
and people revealing their name, and then even it came with do you share your last name,
Hmm.
right? So we come from that era where it was like you don't need to know what I do. You need to just know this product that I use on my hair. You know what I mean? Uh, and I mean, and here's the thing: I follow YouTubers like that now. That all I know is their first name or their first and middle name and what mascara they like. I don't know nothing else. So
Beautiful message says, I'm a new RN. I was hired for nights, but for the last 2 weeks, I've had 3 out of 4 requests to completely switch, 3 to 4 requests maybe to completely switch to day shift, each time saying no. I'm afraid I'm not starting out right with management.
can I ask a question before you respond?
Mm-hmm.
Two questions. One, how long ago were you hired um for night? And two, are you making the request or are they making the request? Because I don't fully understand.
Mm. Oh, okay. Okay.
Do you see what I'm saying, Patricia? Is
Yeah.
she making the request to go to days or are they asking her to go to days?
Okay. Yeah, I think that information is important to know before attacking the question.
Right, because I don't want to know, are you saying no to them or are they saying no to you?
Mm-hmm.
Um, because then I got two different answers depending upon how that plays out.
Mm-hmm. That's true. So we'll see what she.
Career Coach said we took her out with the laughing girl. We cracked up. Like, But see, okay, while we're waiting on Beautiful Message to respond, this is why I don't tell people off the bat I have a YouTube channel.
Oh no.
For what? Like, unless you point blank ask me, and then if they're like, "Are you on social media?" Yeah.
She said.
Oh, you're saying no to them. Oh, okay. Patricia, you probably got more experience in this than I do because most people want to go to days. Um, Not all, but a lot of people would consider that like an upgrade. But nursing may be different.
So, Miss Beautiful Message, this might not be the politically correct, not correct, correct answer, but I'm gonna give it to you anyway. So, I'm assuming you know that I am a nurse. I was a night nurse for a while. I've worked day shift as well, and I understand nursing and nursing management mainly because I've done it, but I've also worked with managers, obviously as a staff nurse before. And so, one thing I will have to say is we're gonna start on a positive, right? One thing I have to say is I think it's a compliment, really, for you to be hired 3 months for night shift, and they're already asking you to go to days. Um, just because I know the culture of nursing and how management can be about their day shift staff. So I'm assuming, unless it's just they're terribly staffed on days for whatever reason, days are usually booked. And if they feel comfortable with you coming to days after 3 months, I think that's a really good thing. If you like nights, I'll be honest with you, this is sort of where you have to connect with your manager so that they don't feel like, again, Evelyn may disagree with me, they don't feel like you just don't want to do it for no reason. Um, you got to give them, be able to connect with them on some level. You know, if you have a family and you're like, hey, you know, I have kids and nights really work well for me, so I could take them to the bus in the morning, or, um, you know, so my husband can be there during the day. I don't know, like, you know, connect with them in some way, or you know, or do you even have to be specific if you don't want to, and just be like, hey, I'd really like to go to days, you know, but right now for my lifestyle, this just works better for me right now, you know, in the future. And I'm so happy that and honored that you guys want me to go to days, but right now I really just can't, you know, instead of just saying no just to say no, or no with no reason or whatever. Just using it as an opportunity to connect with your manager and understanding that, I mean, it is a boundary, like, hey, this is what I want, but also giving them a reason, if that makes sense. I don't know what you think, Evelyn.
No, I agree, and I'm hoping that the reason is not like I don't like the people on days, or y'all crazy on days, or oh, I hope it's not that, because don't say that, girl, don't say that. But
Yeah.
as someone who's worked night shift, not in nursing, it's very similar to Patricia. It's kind of like the rites of passage to get on day shift, and so maybe you can say that like, hey, listen, you know, I think it's great, like that I've been here only 3 months. You guys want to move me to the day shift, and you can say, you know, but I'm really passionate about nights for X, like Patricia, for XYZ reason. And now this is what you're not gonna like, um, because when you work for other people, this is an option. You can say, listen, I'm willing to help out on occasion, but I can't do it consistently. And here's the thing, you may not like that, but because if they're asking you to come to days because they have a need,
Mhm.
you don't want to seem like you're not a team player. Now, if you just actually cannot do it, just say, I would love to, and I want you to know that I could if I would, but because of however much you feel like sharing, remember we just had that whole conversation, I really can, but I don't want you guys to think I'm not a team player. I just don't have the capacity or the means or whatever to do that right now, right? So, you know, there's ways to say no without being like, nah, y'all hired me for night. Stop asking me to go today. Like, I know you're probably not saying it like that, but I think to Patricia's point, you can just say, you know, something like acknowledging the fact that they want you to come today so quickly, even if it is for need, because they probably could be asking a different nurse, right? So there's always a nice no to say it and just be like, man, and you, or you could even hit it with the, if you don't want to lie, because maybe you don't really want to go to days, and you don't really want to be a team player in that way, and you don't find a flatter, you could say something that's like, listen, I know a lot of people would love to be asked to go to days. I totally get that. You know, for me, I really, function better, da da da, whatever. Like, you don't have to lie if you really don't love it, or if you're not excited about going to days. You can just say, hey, listen, I know not a lot of nurses would kill to go to day shift. Um, but say something. But if you can, if it's need based, and if they're like in a bind, if you can say, hey, listen, I could give y'all like one day for maybe the next 3 or 4 weeks, but like that's all I can do. Right. You want to build a relationship. Otherwise, you're just gonna look like the new person that they hired that's being difficult and they don't want to work with.
Yeah.
And that's probably not true, but that's the way it's gonna come across.
And that's really important. Like, to be honest, my sister and I, on our company's page, we did a video about like responses to when your manager asks you to pick up an extra shift.
Hmm.
And it was like a mean, funny type video. But then there's like that one nurse who's just like, no. And that's the end of it. That was me, y'all. Like, seriously.
Oh,
No,
you
pick
got
up.
a nice work night.
No, no. You would 3 shifts, right? Oh no, I done my 3. Like, I'm good. No, and that was me, and I had to learn. I really had to learn about that job currency, that really important job currency of connection,
Yep.
connection, and whatever your no is, give it reason, back it somehow. It's not making an excuse. It's not letting them get in your business, because that was my thing.
Me too.
It's not like letting them get in your business, but it's just like, hey, this really works well for me, or I'm still a new nurse, and the night environment is just more comfortable for me right now. What manager is gonna have an issue with that? I'm just getting my foot. The pace works better for me right now, and if we can revisit this in a year or revisit this in 2 years, I'd really like to do that, but I just don't feel comfortable. What manager's gonna have an issue with that? Or I just work better on nights, or my family situation, this nights just really works best for me, and I couldn't make days work. But really just letting that person in a little bit to your why, right? It doesn't compromise you in any way, but it helps to build that. It helps them to
Hmm.
see you a little bit, because you don't want to be pinned as that. Trust me, the difficult person.
Like she just is like, nah, nope, ain't, can't, won't, not.
it doesn't it doesn't help. So hopefully that helped to answer your question. If you guys have any more, let us know. I'm going to pivot just a little bit
Hmm.
to sort of continue the conversation from last week about value, and knowing your value and knowing your worth in relationships. We talked about that. We talked about knowing your value in general on Evelyn's channel last week, and we kind of snuck in relationships with men at the end. So I want to unfold that. But Beautiful Messages put something in the box. So let's talk about that. I felt guilty about saying no without a reason, because nights for me is a matter of preference. I will reach out and open up the discussion. Thank you. Awesome.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, do you even know why they want you to go to days? Because that can help you frame your response.
Yeah.
Like we were shooting arrows in the dark, but I mean, they could want you to go to days out of preference. Maybe they just like you and be like, we really want her on day. Like, girl, we don't know. So yeah, and listen, girl, your preference. You took that job because it was nice.
And that's okay.
You know what I'm saying? Listen.
And that's okay. But it helps, even from a manager standpoint, understanding people's why. It's really important. And whether you like it or not, if I'm making the schedule, I'm like, okay, you know so and so picks up her kids, or so and so likes weekends because she wants to be with her family on the weekdays. I know the person's why, so I can work for them in that way. uh
And I was also gonna say,
mhm,
and if you want, if there's somebody that works nights with you who is desperate to be on days,
mhm.
but is too scared to say something, because at least when I used to work the graveyard there was always somebody who was like dying to be on days but was never gonna bring it up because they was hired for the night shift. You can be like, listen, I'm so thankful that you want me to go to days, but let me tell you, Patty over here, is an amazing nurse, and like she won't tell you, but she's itching to go to days.
Mm.
Now let me tell you what you just did for the manager. They're like, "Oh, I didn't even know Patty you wanted to go to." I don't know why I picked Patty with Patricia. I'm sorry. I didn't even know Susan wanted to go to days, and then Susan gonna be like, "Girl, out of nowhere, they asked me to go to days," and you can sit inside your little heart and be like, "Look what I did." Okay.
Gosh, Caribbean Curls was, remember, Tricia, you were going to speak on something Evelyn said. Can't remember exactly what it was, but you seem excited to discuss it, girl.
But we done slept since then. Okay.
What were you talking? You brought something up about lifestyle and YouTubers or something like that.
I
And
don't remember. Y'all, can I have a confession? I don't go back and watch the lives. So because I be in it, you know what I'm saying? Uh, I have no clue.
it might come back to me. It might come back to me.
And we did promise somebody that I feel so bad because we did promise the person when we were talking about that we were going to bring it up this week. And I normally write it down and I didn't. I'm sorry.
No, I think she's talking about some in this conversation. I put a pin somewhere in this conversation.
You did.
And I can't remember what I was going to say. I think I remember that you were talking about lifestyle, or whether it's part of your job on YouTube to do something, but I can't remember what I was going to say.
Oh, I think I said something about everything's now up for public consumption.
Mm-hmm.
That was the pin. I mean, you've heard me say that even in private, so.
Yeah. I can't remember where I put the pin, but I'm not sure. But if it comes to me, then we'll chit chat about it. But let's go back on this sense of this value conversation.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why this is really important, especially as it relates to the talking stage video that I posted yesterday, like how you move in dating is so important, just so important. You literally teach this man how to treat you, and you set the stage for the relationship and the dynamic of the relationship in many ways, from day one. That is so important. A woman who has um, a good handle and understands her value will never chase a man, y'all.
Back.
It's like, it's not cute. Can I ask? I'll share this with you guys because yesterday when we were having the conversation with my husband and my brother-in-law, we were having a conversation at the table, and I need to be careful with this.
Oh, careful.
So I brought up a scenario to them, and I said, so what if a nice looking young lady came up to you? I mean, she's nice looking, has some good things going for her, came up and said to you, "Hey, I was looking at you from across the room, and I think you cute or whatever." I'm exaggerating, but I think you cute or whatever, and I'd like to see you again sometime. How would you receive that? And one of them said, like, literally, like, I don't know. One of them said, I don't know. He was like, usually when, a girl approaches you, it's the girl you don't want, right? It's never like the cute girl, the girl that got a lot of things going for her, the girl who is really confident. He was like, I don't even know how I would receive a situation. He was like, when I was a kid, growing up in high school, I was super shy. Like, that's all I wanted was some nice looking girl to walk up to me. And he's like, but as an adult now, he was like, I don't know, there's no chase. And I thought that was very interesting. Very interesting that he brought that up. And the other person was like, wow. And I saw the blushing, just even happening, He was like, oh, I'll be real flattered, real flattered. And he's like, to be honest, I'd take her out, but I would never see her again after that. And so And I think that really speaks to the fact that you got to allow the man to be a man, right? And understand that there's something in them that likes to chase, and there's something in us that likes to be snatched, that loves to be caught. I'll use that word instead. That loves to be caught. And so, really understanding that you're the prize in the equation, you move differently than when you believe he's the one to be caught. This mentality of, oh, there aren't any good men, and girl, if you see him, you better snatch him up, and then like this mentality is just not, it doesn't serve you. It doesn't serve you as well. You don't move like there's only two fish in the sea. You move like you have access to all that is out there because you're valuable. I feel like I'm ranting now. I feel like you're valuable. And so I think it's very important that you move with this value. Because if you have value, you won't waste time on men that don't deserve your time, on raggedy men. You won't waste time there. You know what I mean? And you'll move like, hey, I have a lot to offer. I have a lot that I bring to the table, and I deserve God's best in my life. And I feel very comfortable walking away from any situation that does not serve me. You know what I mean? What do you have to say about that, Evelyn?
I have several things to say because, like, girl, you know how we feel. We listen, y'all. This is the kind of conversation we be having offline. Okay, so let me first address the men are chasers, call it hunters. Same thing. It's like if you take the literal meaning of a hunter, right? They're in the forest with their gun looking for the deer. Whether you agree with that or not, that's not the point. Okay, it's not about that. It's an analogy. Okay, it's a sport. If the deer walks up to the hunter and puts his mouth on the gun,
There's fun.
You didn't have to maneuver through the forest and try to catch the deer and position yourself properly and use your sharpshooter skills. Like, you didn't have to use anything. The deer is basically like, here, have me. If you take that same example and you apply it to, for I am the prize, right? I am the prize. I am the favor factor. I'm the prize. I don't know how else to say it. I'm not about to chase you down in any shape, form, or fashion, right? If you want me, come get me. And a lot of women will say, well, what if he's shy? What if he this? It does not matter. Ask any man, shy, not shy, introverted, extroverted, any combination thereof. They will tell you when they want it, there is something in them that will make it happen. So that's my first response in agreement with Patricia. My second response in agreement with Patricia is I heard this pastor say once, you never saw a mango take itself to the market. And what he, like, you know, the mango from the mango tree doesn't take itself to the market. If you want the mango, you go to the mango tree, right? And so the example is if you want the fruit and the juiciness and the sweetness and the nutrition and the thirst quenching deliciousness of who I am as a woman, baby, you're gonna have to come to the tree. Okay. I had a business coach one time here because y'all know I like to give different analogies just to fully paint the picture. And she does not do free. She does not do anything for free. Okay. A man don't do free. However, she was doing one time, she was going to do this 2-day workshop for free, but you just had to get yourself there, right? So you had to fly, get your hotel, whatever. People were like, oh my God, this is amazing. I've been waiting to work with you. I've been saving up whatever. When are you going to bring it to, and she's in Baltimore. When are you going to bring it to California? When are you going to bring it to Arizona? She was like, I'm not. And she had that kind of firm. She was like, why would I do that? If I have what you need, you come to me. She was like, why would I get on a plane to come to you when I have what you need? Let me give you another example on understanding your value. I used to teach cooking classes in person, right? And for Tricia, I think I've told you this story. And I was doing a private event for some people, and I had about 16 to 18 people in the room. And they were loud, and they were enjoying themselves. They were high on spirits of wine, if you will. And I remember they were like over talking me, right? And I remember one of the ladies was like, Why are you not trying to like get them to be quiet or trying to overtalk them? And I told her very matter of factly, I said, because I already know what they're paying me to learn. I already know it. So I'm not going to force it on them. I'm getting paid anyway.
Regardless.
B, I already know what they came to learn. I have the value, right? You came to learn this from me. I already know it. I'm not about to force you, or I'm not going to give it. I'm not about to chase you down and be like, shh, listen to me. I'm gonna let you do what you want to do because I got the information. And if you leave without the information, that's on you. You take any of those scenarios, it's a very leaned back approach, right? So, I've heard people say when you're dating as well, you need to lean back. If you're leaning forward in energy, even in disposition, you're in the chase, the hunt, right? It's a lean back. You're almost, without being arrogant, almost, and this goes back to the listening. If I'm the big, gigantic 700 carat diamond and you want the diamond, you have got to show me why I should let you have the diamond. And the way you show me is I got to listen, I got to watch, I got to see how you move. And you going to be like, listen, I'm trying to get to this 700 carat diamond. I mean, the man's going to be like, I got to get to this 700 carat diamond before another man gets to the 700 carat diamond. You lean back. I'm the 700 carat diamond, homie. The diamond ain't going to be like, hey, I'm 700 carats. Let me show you all my carats. Oh my God, don't you want a 700 carat diamond? No. Anyway, that's all I got.
Yeah, a high quality man is gonna wanna do the chasing.
Yes. Are you tired of my analogy?
No. I'm just it's just true. I think it's affirming, even just sitting down and listening to them like sort of talk it out. And because I think initially, unlike women, men don't get approached really. You know what I mean? They don't get the, oh, I think you cute. They don't even get the compliment like, oh, you look cute today on a regular basis like women do. Like, oh, you cute. Okay, girl. Whatever. They don't get that. It's not in like men culture really. And so they were really flattered by it, but then even listening to them sort of talk it out, like, he was like, man, and then so then, like, what would I tell my boys? Like, one of them was like, what would I tell my boys? He was like, yeah, like, he was like, he was like, that whole hype of getting the number or finally getting her to go out on a date or whatever. He was like, yeah, man, what? He was like, what would that even look like?
Like, yeah, man, she came up, ran game on me with homie. I just had to say, yeah, like, bro, they gonna be looking at you like, damn.
What?
Ran game on you? Like,
Yup. So it's
they're givers, we're receivers.
Yeah.
We've talked about this.
Yes, and they, even if no matter what they say, they that's who they are. That is who they are, and they enjoy that part of it. They enjoy that part of going out and getting the prize and reeling it in and making it theirs. They enjoy that. And so set that stage from early.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that you can't. I have to tread lightly. I'm not saying that you have to play hard to get. I'm not saying that you can't position yourself, right? Because position yourself in the places to be found. But be very careful. You can't read desperate, y'all.
They can smell it.
They can smell it from a distance. And that's never cute. And you won't end up in a good situation if that's how you acquire a relationship. You just won't.
Nope. You'll function like that the whole time.
Yes, trying to prove that you deserve to be there, and that's not cute. That's not cute.
I have a question for our lady. I have a question for our ladies that are watching. And when I ask this question, Patricia, you're gonna make a face. But I don't want either one of us to give our answers until the ladies answer in the chat. So, ladies, I want to ask you this question. Based on what we just said, because I'm about to ask this question. So I'm giving y'all time, and I just want a yes or no. No long explanations, okay? Not a it depends, okay? Here's the question. Patricia does not know I'm going to do this. That's why she's looking at me with that face like, oh my God, what is Evelyn going to say? Because I know she's crazy. Do women or should women make the first move? That's all. That's the question. Do women make the first move or should they make the first move? Yes or no? I want to see y'all responses in the chat. I know it's going to be a little bit of delay. I'm curious as to your thoughts about this. And we will see this. And then while we're waiting, Journey says the shy ones, nah, time to grow up. Here's the thing: a man can be shy and still pursue. Yeah. I think people think that the hunter or them pursuing is a personality trait. It's not a personality trait. It's their design. Mm-hmm. So it's not about shyness. It's about pursuit. So we've got two answers so far. So Caribbean Curl says nope. And Hey BB says nope. Natoya says no. Jam Cherie says no. Miss K says absolutely not. Okay. Anybody else want to put your vote in? Journey says no. Angelic says no. Okay. Okay. Last call for responses. I want to see what they have. Patricia's like, what is Evelyn doing? Oh my gosh. Okay. Are you curious as to why I asked that question? Lisa says nope.
Yes, I'm curious.
Okay. So let me tell you, ladies. Let me tell you. Are y'all ready? I feel like the chat. She was like, nah. Let me tell you, ladies, why. And this is opinion. So this is not a right or wrong answer. This is opinion. Why I disagree with all of y'all. That the woman doesn't make the first move. I think the woman absolutely makes the first move. In some way, as a woman, you have to give a man a green light. Now, this is not about approaching him, but he got to feel safe to come over. Is it a smile? Is it a little bit of an eye contact? Is it a glance? Is it a this, right? That men need to know that it's safe to approach, but we give the first signal. That's what I think. We don't pursue. We give the signal. We give the green. I can't sing. I'm about to try to do the give me a green light. That's Patricia's ministry. That's not my ministry. I have heard this from men. They're like, listen, I will approach. I gotta get the signal. I gotta get a signal that she wants me to approach. Some men will approach without a signal. But I've heard a lot of men say, like, she ain't got to like wink at me. You know what I mean? But they kind of, is it, I'm just going to hold that look for a second? Is it a smile? Is it something that you give, that you make the first move? Like, yeah, if you want to approach, it's okay. So, Patricia, I would love to know your thoughts. I'm pretty sure we're about to see them all in the comments.
I agree, disagree. Disagree. Clarification. I think, when people say the first move, I feel like people always understand that to be approaching, the first person to approach a man.
And so I'm not agreeing with that.
Yes. So what I just want to make clear that I do not believe that a woman should approach a man.
Exactly. We're on the same page.
I don't agree.
Right.
I do agree that a woman can give a green light. Now, because I'm all about being clear, I have to give examples as to what green light looks like. You know what I mean? Kind of like what Stephanie Cole is saying, you can let a man know that you like them without physically approaching them. Even that to me is a little I agree more of the sentiment where you said you have to make them comfortable too, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So I'm not saying that you're like winking at him and being like, hey boy, come over. I'm more so like, in some nonverbal way, you're letting him know that if he wanted to approach, you would be receptive to that. Right. So that doesn't mean you like you don't know this man. So you may not like him, but there's some kind of it's like flirting. How do you how do you let him know like if you come over, I might entertain what you have to say?
Hmm.
Hmm.
I think it's tricky. So I'll give you an example in like a green light example. To me, a green light example would be, especially if you're in an area where you see the dude staring at you from afar and he's cute or whatever,
Whatever.
and you know he's over somewhere, find your way over there. Oh, excuse me, like if you're passing by him, or a quick smile, or hey, how are you, and not like I stopped to approach you, but if you're passing him in the hall or something, like hey, how are you, um initiating the contact, maybe that's for someone that you absolutely do not know at all. But if you're like in a situation where it's a community environment, like say it's a friend of the family or a church friend or something like that, engaging him in conversation, um, in normal conversation, not anything to do with dating or whatever, like, oh, she's a nice person, or, oh, she's approachable. So to me, those are what green lights are. They're not a wink from across the room. They're not like I'm gonna lift my skirt up a little bit higher. It's not any of that. It's not. It's not. I'm gonna say, go send my friend over so that my friend can say that I think that you think that I think that you cute. No, I don't feel like that is either. So yes, a woman is able to give a green light without compromising the energy.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
Yes, and let me tell you why I brought this question up because we are in perfect agreement. What I'm talking about with a green light and what you're talking about with green light is the exact same things.
Hmm.
The reason why I say this is because being guilty, I have been guilty of sending red lights in the past, right? And so I used to think like, oh, he doesn't want to approach me. Oh, it's this, whatever. Oh, he must be shy. Oh, he must be intimidated. I used to have that mindset. And that could have been the case. It could have been, right? I don't know in some of those situations. And then, though, as I grew my femininity, I also realized sometimes I wasn't given the green light. They would look, I would immediately look away. Well, if I look at you, if somebody looks at me and I immediately look away, that means, oh, don't come, I'm not interested. Or if you smile at me and I don't smile back, I'm not interested. If you pass by me and you say, excuse me, like all those things you said about like kind of giving the green light, I don't engage, that's a red light, which is fine. Some people you want to get a red light too, because I'm not interested. But I wanted to bring that up because I know a lot of people say, oh, men don't approach whatever, and it's like, could it be sometimes, not most of the time, not all the time, we don't know. Could it be sometimes that we may be unconsciously giving red lights?
Mm.
And some men, I view it as respect. Like, hey, listen, if she doesn't want me to approach, I'm not gonna approach, right? As a respect thing. So, not a pursuit thing.
Hmm.
Ain't nobody being don't like airdrop him your contact information. Okay. We're not talking about that. But yeah. Just some kind of, like you said, engage in a conversation. Listen, we've all seen those either YouTube videos or reality TV shows where it's a guy and a girl, and the girl's trying to engage in conversation, and the guy's distracted, right? He's on his phone. Yeah. Okay, well, he's not interested, right? So if you gave the green light and he didn't bite, girl, okay, that's not you pursuing. You're just saying I'm open and receptive to your pursuit.
Right. I
Okay, listen, I don't have the chat blow up. Okay.
Let's see. A lot of men, this is from Katiwe 5, a lot of men approach everyone, and oftentimes men approach for the sport of it, not necessarily to go out, and move towards anything. I think the first move is for those who intentionally pursuing. You can present as available and interested. However, I'm not making the first move. I'm not the hunt. I'm waiting for him to give so I can receive. Now, I may not always be willing to receive. I
Yes.
completely agree with you. And that's why I think it's so important to really define what we mean by that. Because, what I don't want people to walk away from this is that either of us are saying that you need to be approaching men. That's a hard no.
Yeah.
Right.
And
And other people on YouTube and whatever other experts or whatever other people may have different opinions on that. But for me, it's a hard no. I've never approached a man in my life and I've never had issues getting dates. I've
right.
never had it. I've been in a relationship. I'm married now. I did not fun fact. Fun fact. I any of the dates that we had were never initiated by me. Any of the texting that we did while we were talking were not initiated by me. I've never, if my husband was in the room, he would tell you right now, I never texted my husband. Now, this is extreme, okay? I understand that. I will accept that. But I never text. I didn't text him first. I didn't call him first. I didn't text. I only responded to text messages and picked up phone calls. I didn't text him, initiate text message. I didn't initiate calls. Like he got to a point where we were talking. He was like, "Oh, so if I don't call you, we're just not gonna talk." And I was just like, "Oh, you learn quickly. Okay, I get it. Okay,
I
you
was
cute.
pursuing.
Yes, you're pursuing." I remember the first time I texted, I think, or called or whatever. I texted him and I was just like, "Hey, what's up? How's your day going so far?" And girl, it was like emoji this, emoji that. He picked up the phone and called me. It was like, "Did you just text me? Like, did that just happen?" He's dramatic. So like, he made this big deal. And guys, we were 6 months, 7 months in before that happened. So like, that's to just show you how like serious I am about maintaining that you are the prize to be
Yep.
had. You know what I mean? So yes, you can give the little wink or maybe or
I wouldn't say wink, maybe just the extended eye contact or the smile.
smile, whatever. I prefer the smile or just like like you see a stranger and just like hello. Like when if you meet like eye contact, like hello, whatever. Or if you happen to bump into him in the cafeteria and you're just like, oh hey, how are you? Whatever. How's your day going so far? Okay, good. Like just friendly conversation to make the atmosphere warm. You know what I mean? But we're definitely not. What we're not saying is, and you're like, hey, I saw you from across the room. That's what we're no.
No. Like, and let me give you a story of this, right? Because I remember I have an ex, okay, like we're still cool, and where we met, I think it was at a grocery store, right? And I'm super like I talked to the cashiers, I'm whatever. And you know what he told me he on the reason why he approached me? He said because he was walking by, he looked at me and I was like, "Oh, hey, how you doing?" Like because I was just in the mode of talking to people. I wasn't even intentionally trying to speak to him. I was just like talking to people, being friendly in the moment. This man went put his groceries up and circled back around, right? Because when we had this conversation like years later, he was like, "Because you gave me the signal," and I was like, "No, I didn't." He was like, "Yes, you did. You smiled at me," and I was like, "Oh, I wasn't trying." You know what I mean? Saying, but the point is, he was like, "I wanted to approach, but I didn't get the signal, I wasn't going to approach." And I was like, and then I accidentally gave him the signal. It's all fine. We cool now. But you know what I'm saying? So one more time, we are not saying approach, but I do know some women who believe that men don't approach at all. And I'm like, they do sometimes. They're looking for the signal out of respect. Like, they're like, I'm about to come over if you're not interested, or if you're not giving me the space, or if you got 20 women with you and I'm about to embarrass myself. So, uh,
Hi Ruby says I've seen other women make the move before. I've
I get what you,
what you looking at eye contact. Some people are just weird. Make blush to being a bit awkward.
and I like my kidneys. I'm so confused.
Yeah. Yeah, we're a little bit confused about that one. Miss K says I do agree that you have to be receptive and open, but I believe the man should be the one to initiate dates and do pursuing. And
Absolutely.
then Classy T says, I agree with Miss K. Men don't put a lot out. Some men don't. Some people, some for them, it's literally about throwing the dart in the sea if they're just gonna hit a target. And it's just like a numbers game. Listen, I'm from New York. Okay, the men on the East Coast. Let me tell you something. A lot of them is a numbers game. They gonna shoot their shot, and one of them gonna go through the hoop, and that's just how they see it, right?
I would be careful, classy, just saying a blanket statement like men don't put in a lot of effort, because if that is your belief, right, that men don't put in a lot of effort, then that is what you will experience.
I think that she was talking about the comment earlier where someone said like some men don't. It's I can't remember.
Oh, about the initiate the dates and do the pursuing,
Something about.
right above Miss K. Yes.
Yeah, I can't remember where it was. A lot of men approach everyone. I think she was
Oh, okay.
referring to that or whatever. I hope you're not thinking that a lot of them, like, men don't put an effort, because some men do put a whole lot of effort. I'm married to one of them.
And
Mhm.
can I say this, right? And this is just, I don't like that phrase. I'm not gonna say that. Just something to consider. Some men would put forth the effort, except for the woman is already putting in forth too much effort, so there was no space for him to put in the effort.
Mhm.
I'm gonna just I'm gonna throw that out there also.
Mhm.
Okay, I've seen that. Like he would, but to your point, like if the girl goes up to the guy and like whatever, like he might be the kind of guy that put in the effort. You didn't already did that effort. If he wants to plan a date, but you didn't already hit him up and plan the date, he like, all right, like you said, one of the guys said, I'd probably go on one date with her, but I wouldn't go back, right? So sometimes, not all the time, I won't even say most of the time, but I have seen situations where the girl didn't need a man no space to put forth effort because she was being the man. So there's that.
And that's, yeah, that's what's, again, understand the dynamic of the relationship.
Yes.
Katiwe 5 says this is important because men use women for either an ego boost or for emotional support, and women are so ready to come to men's side emotionally. Boundaries are important, helps gauge their interests. I think understand the spirit of what you're saying, but I have a few issues with it. But let's look at the second part of your statement. Quality men put in effort. You only need one. When you have boundaries up, it's easier to weed them out early. So yeah, I think I understand the spirit of what you're saying, but I think it's really important to that we avoid absolutes when we're speaking about our men, right? The idea of that men are either looking for an ego boost or emotional support, I think is a blanketed statement. And then get into the part where it says boundaries are important and help to gauge interest. That I do agree.
Right.
That I do agree. And that not not every man that approaches you is a high quality man. And
Right.
that they might have other motives, like they just want to get in those jeans, and they want to get in the jeans, right? Or in whatever else, and so they have some ulterior motives. And if you know that you're looking for a high quality man that you want to marry, then this is not the type of person that you need to be engaged with, right? And yes, by setting up boundaries early, maintaining the mystery, and also maintaining the emotional distance, right? Not so much that you're so invested that when after the talking stage is completed and this is not someone that you want, that you're not so invested that you're so hurt that this didn't end up working out.
Mhm.
Um,
I was going to say this about the blanket statements. I will say this, and this is not accusatory to anybody in the chat, because I feel like if you're here, you're not this woman,
mhm.
but just as a collective of women, to underscore what you said, Patricia, I think we have to be really mindful about the language that we use about men, because a lot of women desire a man in a healthy relationship and at the same time have a disdain for men, and the two cannot live together. You can't desire something and disdain it at the same time. You can't desire it and despise it at the same time. You can't attract something that repels you. So, as we start to think about our mindsets and the statements that we make, words are very powerful. You shall have what you say.
Yes. Yes.
So let me say that again. You will have what you say. And so if you say men either want this or that, men only are looking for this or that, men are like this or that, be mindful that then that is what you will see and that's what you will experience. And so if you go way back to earlier in the live when I was talking about the boss being a great problem solver, notice my language. I said men are amazing problem solvers. I never said they were controlling. I never said they don't do it right, so you got to do it them yourself. I said, here's the thing, they are amazing problem solvers, right? They just may not do it how you want to do it. And so guess what I experience in my life? Men that are amazing problem solvers, right? Because that's the lens that I'm looking at them through. So like I said, not accusatory, but we just got to be really, really careful. And I had to do some soul searching at one point, that I used to have this idea that men didn't want to commit. For I don't know where I got it from, but I had that idea at one point, right? So that is what I was experiencing at the time, until I had to change my thought around that. So just kind of want to put that there as a disclaimer, like as we engage in dialogue, and we are discussing men, that you shall have what you say. And if you find yourself, the way you describe men is always in not a positive light, you will begin to experience that somewhere down the line. If you can't say, I like men because they're this, I think men are great because they're that, men are amazing because of this, men are so needed because of that. If you can't answer those questions for yourself, might be some time for some journaling, some self reflection. Feel what I'm saying? So that's my little big sister. I don't know if I'm older than everybody, you know what I'm saying? But it's my little, just girl, be mindful about your words, right? So, any thoughts about that, Patricia?
No, I completely agree. I completely agree, which is why I talked about, sort of those absolutes and stuff. You create your own experience, you really do. And so, um, you know, like I said, you set the atmosphere and how people treat you. They will treat you, and to the point where people in their own life won't recognize them, like because that's how high of a stage that you set for them. And so, yeah. So let's see. Hey, BB says I was trying to make a joke about not giving friendly eye contact because I don't want to be kidnapped by a crazy. I'm naturally friendly, but don't give the flirty signal. At least I don't try. So let's talk about this real quick, because again, I don't want you guys to walk away with the fact that we're telling you guys to approach men, but what I will say is, if we could just start here, is just having a warm energy. Can we work on having warm energy? And I think the reason why some of us struggle with this is because of our issues with femininity, right? Um, Understanding that it's okay to smile, it's okay to say good morning, it's okay to be like, hey, how's your day going so far, and just stopping real quick, and you just practicing on a regular basis with men and women alike, and just having a open demeanor, right? Where people are just like, if you mean mugging, you know what I mean? And I struggle with, the resting face. You know what I'm saying? Like a harsh resting face. But if you know that's your struggle, then work on smiling. Work on smiling and working on having a pleasant demeanor, a warm energy, an open energy. And so you won't have to worry about, smiling from across the room and getting kidnapped, because because you're just being warm, and that's just who you are, and you're open, and you're creating an environment, warm environment for somebody to approach you. Seaway 5 says, well, I didn't mean that all meant, I meant to say that sometimes you may be approached for a reason, which is why what you mentioned about not texting, not giving so much was actually smart. Okay, I hear you. The behavior can extend past the talking stage. I guess she's saying, I agree with you all. Blanket statements are not good. The tongue is powerful. A few bad experiences can't shape your disposition. Good. Flirting is frustrating.
Oh, it don't have to be. Pause right there. Flirting is just banter.
But she asked a question really like right after it. She says, how do
Oh, I didn't
one
see it.
flirt post corona? I just had that thought. Better mascara.
I don't know, girl. I'm still quarantining. So, because in Texas, our rates are up 42%. So,
Ooh, wee.
girl, I'm still in the house. So there's, I mean, listen, you can see a wink. I mean, you can see an extended eye gaze. No winks. Winks are cheesy to me. You can see an extended eye gaze even with a face mask on if you're still wearing a face mask. Um, I don't know how they're gonna approach you. Now, I will say this: I've heard stories like if you keep your AirDrop on and he want to drop his contact information. I mean, I'm not telling you. Like, I don't know. I'll let you know once I get back out there. Patricia can't tell you because she's married. Okay. Um, but you can still hit them. You can still hit them with the little quick little extended eye gauge. You smize. Tyra Banks taught us in America's Next Time. Hit them with the smize. Oh, Super Juicy is like, because girl, listen, because I have a training call at 6. And I gotta eat dinner before then. Girl, you missed this. SJ, remember we supposed to call it SJ. SJ, listen, girl, you're gonna have to watch this replay because we went to the moon and back here. Um,
We sure did. We sure did.
Girl, yes, okay. I've heard several stories about like guys airdropping their contact info. Like if they couldn't get to a woman in time, right? Like airdropping their contact info. Here's the thing. I don't know if I would text you though. So that's the thing. Um, I've heard people airdropping notes, being like, "Hey, I was trying to catch you." That I stories I've heard. I'm not telling you to do it. I don't even know if I would do it. Out, even though I would give you an A for effort, right? That if I was leaving somewhere and you couldn't catch me and you just like tried to airdrop me. I mean, I don't know. I don't keep my airdrop on like that. I'm just saying, listen, I would tell you this though, girl, you don't have to figure it out. The man will find a way. Corona or no corona. This is what I mean by pursuit. If that man see you somewhere, and even through that face mask, he like, listen, shouty it, he will find a way. So distance flirt with you. I don't even know what that looks like, but he will find a way. Remember what I said? Men are great problem solvers.
Yes, they are.
They will figure it out.
We don't have to. We yes, remain warm and open, but we don't gotta make it easy. You know what I'm saying? We don't gotta make it easy for them. So SJ says, quick question: how often do you wash your hair? Just as our Afro hair is different, just wondering how much is too little or too often.
I wash my hair about every 2 weeks.
So I wish I could say.
Wait a minute. I'm laughing because y'all don't know the conversation we had before we got on the call.
Literally, I would say I'm more close to every 3 weeks. Probably every 3 weeks. Sometimes once a month. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I mean, every now and then, but my hair be crispy, crunchy if I wait a month. Like snap, crackle, pop. If I wait a month.
The thing is that I don't put much product in my hair. I will say that. So,
but I also live in Texas where it's 100 degrees right now.
Oh.
So I can spray this thing down with water and it's gonna be dry tomorrow.
Especially right now, like when I was out and everything, in about every 3 weeks. But in quarantine, it's like, why? I'm like, why? I don't get like a bunch of like exposure to outside environment. Like, of course, I like we do the walks in the evening and the biking and stuff like that. But outside of that, you know what I mean? I don't put gel in my hair on a regular basis. I can't remember the last time I used gel in my hair. It's just, there's not much product in my hair right now.
I do it because my scalp will get really dry. So once a week is too dehydrated. Here's the thing. I am not a what do they call it? A trichologist. What do they call it? The hair people. I will say this: the lady that I go to, she was like, for me, she was like once a week was just too much. I will say this: dehydrated or not dehydrated, I didn't have that kind of time. Okay. I have a lot of hair on this head, like a lot of hair on this head, and I was once a week, absolutely not. I wouldn't be doing nothing but doing hair. So even 2 weeks is like, it's 2 weeks already, girl.
Yeah, 2 weeks. Okay. I can't do 2 weeks just because it's just a lot.
You and I have similar length hair, and it's just like, girl, it's a lot of hair.
It's a lot. So, but you may have a different length, you may have a different texture where that might work for you.
Your scalp may be different. My scalp will get really, really dry, and so 3 weeks, my scalp is like absolutely not.
Yeah, so I can't. I'd rather, if I need some time to get to a wash day, you will see 3 plaits and a wig on top of it before I would need it. Like that. Sometimes
I need a wig. I need you to make me a wig because I have not gotten into wigs.
Girl, listen, if you go, you might not come back. I'm just saying.
I was going to ask you, I was like, I don't even need seeing Patricia. I ain't seen you in a twist out in years, right? I was like,
no, it's been so, no, actually, I did it. I've done a twist out this year.
I have not seen it, but no, okay, I think I saw it, but you had it like in a cute little like side swept kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, no.
It was by the time I got to the side, so usually I start doing that within like day 3, day 4, because I'm a horrible retwister. So I'll just start doing styles because you're not gonna catch me retwisting my hair every night. So that's usually what I do. But I did do it this year because I missed it. I was like, man, I missed the, um, my natural hair or my natural hair texture. But we can have a conversation about that offline. But I think right now this is what works for me, so that's why I'm doing it.
Eshe says, so water to hydrate scalp rather than cleansing shampoo in between washes. Okay, so let me read the next question. Sorry for all these questions, but should we moisturize hair every day then? Here's the thing about moisturizing your hair. There's a lot of factors that go into that. The best way to moisturize your hair is to consume water. Yes, externally your hair needs water, and then you need to lock it in with something, some kind of sealant. The oils or butters themselves are not moisturizing; they just lock in the moisture. I think it varies on your hair type, and I don't mean like for A, for B, for C. I think you just have to learn your hair. If I wet my hair every day, I'd be bald headed because it would shrink up and snap, crackle, and pop because of the tangles, not because it's over moisturized. For example, today my hair is over moisturized and won't hold a curl, right? So because I washed it on Sunday, put the stuff on, the moisture is locked in, okay? And it's humid here. So, I mean, I really think it's about, I hate to say it, it's kind of like you got to find out what works for you, what works for one woman, where you live. Is your house dry? Do you wrap your hair at night? What are you wrapping with? Are you exercising? The more I exercise and sweat in my head, the drier my hair gets because the sweat is salty. Okay, what time of year is it? I mean, it's a lot. So for me, I can't give you like a blanket answer. I don't know your hair and all of those factors. Nutrition plays a part in it. It's a lot.
Hi, BB says, I smile big hair. I smile big hair and have an open demeanor, but I'm not comfortable with people entering my personal space, especially now. And I wash my hair 2 to 3 weeks with twisting and spray in a hydration mist. I'm assuming every 2 to 3 days. Classy T says, men will pursue on the East Coast, on the West Coast, and not so much. And Katiwe 5 says, if you are low porosity and you exercise, I'd say once a week is a good, and it depends on the climate. I agree with that, Katiwe. Classy T, let's discuss this comment about East Coast versus West Coast.
Again, before Patricia responds, then that's probably gonna be your experience. If you like, that's a blanket statement. The men on the West Coast don't pursue all of them.
So let me fix it. All right.
Okay.
Let me fix it. What I will say, Classy T, and you can correct me if that's not what you meant, but I'm gonna go with what I think you meant, and that is men on the West Coast don't approach. And the reason why I can say I can agree with that statement is because I've lived on both. And so the energy of East Coast versus West Coast is very different. Just people on the East Coast, it's very direct. It's very, and people from the South are different. Like my experience with Southern men is very like, they take a lot of them, no matter what, they'll take the friend route. More likely to take the friend route first and kind of fill you out from a distance, whatever, before they come straight on. On the East Coast, they got to meet you 1 day, 1 minute, and they already coming up to you. On the West Coast now, again, that initial approach, they're slower to do that. They don't take the friend route either. It's a more I'm watching you from a distance type of thing. And then when they come up to you, especially if you're an East Coast girl, you don't even know what's happening because you're so used to that direct. Or if you're from the South, you're like, oh, this one probably like me because the way he's coming around me. If you're used to that, then you're not used to the West Coast. Like, oh, he cool. Like, he a friend. Like, you don't even know what to make of the interaction. Like, that's my experience with. So, again, depending on where you live, you know, you can adjust to move differently with that or with your sort of expectations, but I think your standards should still remain the same. And that is, you ain't gonna approach, no matter if you live in Mississippi, whether it's California, New York, or New Jersey, you ain't gonna approach. That's what I think. What you think, Evelyn?
But I would say this. I would say I think you're absolutely right because I'm from the Midwest, and then I went to college with people from everywhere, all over the world, all black men. I went to HBCU. Shout out to Tuskegee. Anyway, and then have lived a significant part of my adult life in the South, but have friends from all over. I will say this: their, to your point, their rate of approach or their method of approach is different. They all will pursue though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the onset may be different. And the way they get to know you may be different, but the energy is still coming towards you though.
Mm-hmm.
So whether it's I want to be in your space because I'm your friend and I'm in the South and I'm checking you out, and then at some point, and that's why we were talking about earlier, where I was like, sometimes by the time the man gets to you, he already knows. Like you ain't got to wait 90 days. He already knows what he's trying to do because he's watched you. That's part of my experience in the South, right? When I've interacted with men from the East Coast, you're right. If they like what they see, they hollering. Straight up, okay? But either way, West Coast is a little bit more subtle. Either way, Midwest, girl, it depends on what part of the Midwest. The energy will still be coming towards you, and while the approach may be different, the pursuit will be there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's sort of what I was trying to interpret what she was saying, and I think that's what um, I concluded. It's just that what she meant was the approach. How they approach is different. Like a T-Wave 5 is saying, on the East Coast, many men hear harassment and stalk. They harass and stalk. And yes, it can feel like that. Like like if you say no, it's just like, ooh, you know, it's like a challenge. Like, okay, I'm gonna get her. She's saying no now, but she don't really mean it. Like, I'm gonna get her. So I definitely know that energy as well, and adjusting to that and how to deal with that, you know, is a thing. Let's see. Hi BB is suggesting Design Essentials as a brand to use. Beautiful message says, you ladies have no idea how these girl chats have boosted my self-awareness. You have helped me question things, and I had accepted, and question things I had accepted, and I'm a better person for it. All I can say is God bless you. Oh, awesome. Awesome, awesome. Classy T says, yes, men in New York hunt, stalk, and try to conquer. Yes, that is a thing. That is a thing, and I get
the same way.
That so if you're watching from the East Coast, you know, you are coming in with a different experience, and I get it, especially Katia, if I with some of the things that she has said, you know, like, you know, some men will just approach, and it is like, you know, it literally is a numbers game. Like, if I throw 50 out there, I'm gonna get 3. You know what I'm saying? And that's literally how they see it. And so the women there, you know, have to be
discerning,
more careful, discerning when moving forward with certain men, and understanding their motives, asking those important questions early on. You know, I've talked about this on lives and also on my YouTube channel. Good evening from London. And that is asking, hey, like, what are you looking for in life right now? Asking specific questions. And if it's like, hey, I'm out here having fun, or I'm out here just seeing what, you know, this could turn into, then that's not the person for you if you're looking for a marriage. So asking those critical questions early to find out what his motivation is. And if y'all don't want the same things, then casually walk away. Yeah. So anyway, y'all, I have appreciated this conversation, and thank you guys so much for tuning in to this convo, guys. This was a good one. They're all good, but this but this was a good one, y'all. So I appreciate you guys, and love you guys for coming in and for tuning live. Thank you, Evelyn, for joining us again and for doing this again. Yes, Tiofi, yes, it's good to see you here. I know you were there yesterday for the premiere, so thanks for joining in, and hopefully we answered some of your questions from yesterday. But yes, guys, we'll be back here next week, Tuesday, here on this channel at 4 p.m. And again, just put your little comment in there, Evelyn, so they can have your YouTube channel. Subscribe to Evelyn if you're not already subscribed to her. Follow us on Instagram and all that good stuff. And y'all, after this is posted, if you guys have questions that you want us to address on the next live, then drop a question down below. Are there any virtual meetups for dating? I don't know of any. I don't know of any. But yeah, I'm not sure if there's anybody else who has an answer to her question. Y'all can, like, y'all know I'm not in the dating scene as of today, so some things I may be a little bit out of the loop about. But yeah, but anyway, ladies, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Oh, what is going on here? Yes,
I don't know. I saw that.
yeah. Thank you so much for tuning into this live, guys. We'll see you guys next week again on Tuesday. If you have any questions that you want us to address, hit us up via Instagram or hit us up via YouTube. You can comment on this video once it goes live, and then we'll address it next week. But that's all for you guys.